Welcome. In this video, we're going to look at graphing lines, and we're going to look at specifically graphing lines using slope-intercept form. Now, we've previously discussed slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Remember, m represents the slope. M is always that multiple scalar coefficient on x, the independent variable. And then the y-intercept is determined by looking at b representing the constant term, which could be any number, even 0. So whenever we have a y-intercept, we write that as an ordered pair, 0, comma, b. And once we've determined both the slope and the y-intercept, it's really rather easy for us to graph a line. The first thing we'll do is to plot the y-intercept along the y-axis. So it's going to be somewhere vertically up and down on the y-axis. And then we'll consider our slope as rise over run. And what that means is from wherever our y-intercept is, say if our slope was m equals 2/3, that would be rise 2 and run 3. So that means we would rise, we'd count up 2, and then we would run forward 3. And if we have a positive or a negative, that would determine the direction that we, per se, rise or run. So once you have 2 points, you can graph a line. So for our example, we're going to graph this function using the slope and the y-intercept. The function we're given is f of x equals negative 2/3 times x plus 4. So one thing we should recognize, my slope, m, is negative 2/3. That's my coefficient, my scalar multiple in front of x. And my y-intercept is going to come from b. In this situation, b equals positive 4. So 0, 4 is my y-intercept. So I know one point that I can plot on my graph. And then once we plot that point, we're going to use the slope to help us navigate, and considering that as rise over run, determine another point off of the y-intercept, which we've plotted. So the first thing I'll do will be to plot that y-intercept along the y-axis. I'm going to count up to positive 4, mark a point. Now, slope is rise over run, and we have two ways we can consider this. Here we have m is equal to negative 2/3. Now, technically that negative is in the front. I have a tendency for my negatives to look like they belong with the numerator, but technically that is in the front. And my question to you is, how many negatives do we have here? Are both negative, or both the 2 and the 3 negative? Well, if we said negative 2 over negative 3, that would be positive 2/3. A negative divided by a negative would be positive. So that indicates to us we only have one negative here. This is either negative 2/3 or 2/3. And they're both going to give us the same value. So let's look at each. I'll say if m is negative 2/3. That means we're going to rise negative 2, or rather, we will go down 2, and then we will run positive 3, which is going to give us right 3. So down 2, boop, boop, right 3, 1, 2, 3, that takes us to this point right here. So down 2, right 3 takes us to that point. Suppose, however, we'd looked at it the other way. If we say m equals 2 over negative 3, that would be rise. The rise is positive 2, so we'll go up 2. And the run is negative 3. That would indicate we would run left 3. So if I bounce up 2 and left 3, that will take me to this point right here. So up 2, left 3 was right there. And you'll notice that all three of these points are on the same line. And I didn't do the most perfect job drawing this, but if I went from this point and I went down 2, right 3, you'll notice I end up at another point on the same line. The big key here when we're drawing this is we just want to make sure that we are drawing off of that y-intercept ordered pair. I have been teaching for quite a while at this point, and one common mistake that I see students do is they start at the origin to count the slope. And so we go down 2, right 3, plot this point, and then we're going to draw our line through that y-intercept in that point. Now, you see these are clearly 2 different lines, and what you just want to make sure is that whenever you're counting that slope, you're starting from the one point, the y-intercept, which you know is on the line. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to help. Good luck.